My greetings from India on two issues that have preoccupied me for such a large part of my life: the issue of forests and the issue of food. Forests is where I was born. I was born in the cradle of the Himalayan forest. I worked with the beautiful movement called Chipko, which was a movement to protect the Himalayan forests when the landslides started and the destruction started. But I have, over these many decades, nearly 5 decades now, not just studied forest systems, food systems, their biodiversity, but also the paradigms that are leading to their destruction. I have been in the spice gardens of Kerala and Karnataka in the Western Ghats. You can't distinguish the forest from the spice gardens. And yet, these were the sources of wealth of India. The spice gardens are what led to Columbus setting sail from India, but he found land in the middle, or the East India Company for the Dutch and the British being created, all for spices. Thousands of years India had exported spices with one bag of pepper being weighed for its weight in gold. That's why we were 25% of the world economy. So it's not the case that trade begins with World Trade Organization and globalization. International trade is ancient. And international trade determined by sovereignty of communities, of cultures, of countries, make sure that people have their food, nature has her biodiversity, and there is international trade, not at the cost of the food security of the people or ecological security. I have watched how our forests went as they were redefined into timber mines, and monoculture started to substitute the rich diversity of forests that my sisters in Chipko were defending. I have watched how our rich biodiverse agriculture, which was like the forest, as Sir Albert Howard recognized when he was sent to India in 1905, Indian farms are as permanent as the forests. And my dear beloved late father, who was a forest officer, used to tell us when we were children, there are more trees on the farms of Uttar Pradesh, the big province of northern India, where he was, than there are in the forests of Uttar Pradesh. So there was no divide between farms and forests. There was no divide between people and nature. These divisions are very, very colonial in their roots. And it is now time to overcome and transcend these divisions, overcome and transcend divisions and extractivism as the economy that is making the majority of ecosystems poorer, that is making communities poorer. And we need to pause and take reflection. Where are the emissions coming from? The rich industrialized world, 1%, is emitting 50%, and the excess emissions beyond the share, 95% are the rich countries. These issues of climate justice are, of course, what are at stake at COP26. But if you look at the other side of the picture, where's biodiversity rich? In the 22% of the land left with indigenous people. The whole planet was indigenous. The whole planet was biodiverse. The whole planet had food for all beings. And now only 22% is left, but that is where the biodiversity is being conserved. So we need to redefine our notions of the wild. Wild is defined in the colonial dictionary as a place without people. Every place with biodiversity, every place with wilderness is a place where caring, compassionate, loving people are. We need to learn from indigenous people. We need to learn from women how we can create economies that do not destroy the earth, do not push biodiversity extinction, do not destroy the climate systems of this planet and bring us to collapse. It's in our hands. It's in our hands if we turn to the earth and our biodiversity, we turn to the forests as our teachers, to the plants as our teachers, and we turn to all of humanity as one family. We turn to all of the biodiversity as one earth family, just as we must regenerate biodiversity. And this is what I do day in and day out through Navdanya, the movement I have built over the last 37 years. And we are growing more food. We have more soil fertility. We have more nutrients in the soil. We have water tables rising 70 feet. We have pollinators, even though we didn't start pollination conservation, we just saved seeds. Saving seeds of food sovereignty, saving seeds of seed sovereignty, saving seeds of biodiversity is enabling us to solve all the problems that the planet is facing. And it begins with our forests and farming like the forest, and doing economic systems like the forest. Forests are based on diversity. As Tagore said, we have learned democracy from our forests. And economic democracy rests on the biodiversity of economies, not globalized economies in the hands of a few corporations wiping out local economies and leaving destitution everywhere, but prosperous local economies everywhere, and high value goods trading to make everyone benefit, not a few at the cost of the many. We are at an exciting moment for the evolution of humanity. We can either choose the path of extinction, continue extinction of other species and ensure our own, or rejuvenate not just our biodiversity, but our economic models, our paradigms, our values. We can move from greed to care. I'm so glad I was able to join you. Thank you.